Welcome. This is going to be a short session this morning, but hopefully still enjoyable. And we'll start off, of course, with Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
There we are. So we were in the middle of the Torah Temimah, and the significance of the names, the various names that are mentioned at the beginning of this parasha, that it has this genealogy of Korachs, and Reish Lakish explains each name with some significance in terms of Korach's behavior and the results of Korach's behavior, and the Torah Temimah was asking, why did he have a need to do that? And he quotes something from, I think it was Megillah, where it says, that in a case where someone has a genealogy and he does something awful and nothing else is said about anybody else, you can assume that his parents or his forebears are also not good. And so Reish Lakish wants to say that's not the case, and rather that these names are comments on Korach himself. And that's why this genealogy is being given here. And we'd gotten through a couple of the names. Let's see, I think we had gotten as far as Tzohar and discussed, Megillah, there's the statement in Megillah. And let's see, okay, let's go down here. This is where we're at. There we are. Okay. Ve'od Darish ben, there we go. Ve'od Darish ben Kahat, right? That's Yitzhar ben Kahat, ben Shehikha Shinei Molidav, right? A son, Ben, he was a son who set his parents or the ones who bore him on edge. Okay. He's going to explain. So setting on edge, like blunting them, something like that. And here we go. V'hakavana, the intent here, pshuta, is clear. She biyesh et avotav. The idea is that he humiliated his ancestors, b'ma'asav, through his actions, hara'im, his awful behavior. Right? We don't think about how our own behavior affects, for better or for worse, our families, and certainly our parents, and etc. V'hamelitza kahot shinayim, and he says the expression or the metaphor of kahot shinayim, blunting the teeth. Lazeh, here, near it appears, dehu to'ar, it's a description, la hafarot habizayot, concerning the intensity of the humiliation. Uvi'ur hadavar, and to explain this matter, mipnei shekesheyadua haya shevet kahat hayoter kadosh b'Yisrael. I understand what he's getting at right now. It's coming back to me, right? And to explain this is that exactly because it's well known, right, that the tribe of Kahat, or the family of Kahat, of the three Levitical families, right, Gershon, Kahat, and Merari, that the particular family of Kahat, Hayoter Kadosh b'Yisrael, was considered on a higher level of sanctity amongst the Jewish people. Why is he saying this? K'mevo'ar beParshat Bamidbar, as is explained in the Parsha of Bamidbar, ubeParshat Naso, and in the Parsha of Naso, me avodat hakodesh, regarding the holy work, the sacred work, shehaita netuna aleihem, that this particular family was given. They were given the most distinguished and holiest part of the transporting, and it's going to go on, v'yadua, right, and it's understood, de kol hamekudash mechavero, that anyone who is on a higher level of sanctity from his friends, from his associates, bizyono meruba, his humiliation is going to be even greater, mi bizayon chavero, than from his associate, than the humiliation of his associate. And I used to explain that, if you are societally well placed and then you go and do something awful, the implications are far greater than someone who isn't so well placed. And the best example I can give you is the punishment that Moses and Aaron had to face after the incident where Moses struck the rock. You may be familiar with that the people were clamoring for water, and Moses says, "Here, you rebels." He's just had it, okay? He's just had it. And he strikes the rock. God tells him to speak to the rock, and he strikes the rock, and he says, "Am I supposed to get water out of a rock?" And God says to him, and of course the water gushes out, but God says to him afterwards, "Because you didn't sanctify me," and etc., you are now not going to make it to the land of Canaan. You're not going to get into the land of Israel. That's his punishment. And it's huge. You think about all the stuff he did and what he put up with, etc. And this is his punishment. And
Rabbi, where is that?
it's coming up. It's actually,
okay.
I think, it's
so that's kind of out of place with with the spies, because they even say that the only two who are going in
isn't that
are Caleb and Joshua.
Almost prophetic. No,
it's either prophetic or it's it's misplaced.
Coming up in Chukat. I think it's in Chukat.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think it is. Yes. By the way, I don't want to interrupt this too. I have another thought regarding that. But the point is, people ask, why was Moses punished so severely? And the answer is because of how sanctified he was. God was speaking to him. The more privileged you are, right? The higher up you are, the harder you're going to fall when you don't live up to that privilege. So that's the point here. Veromez lagodel bizyono, and this statement of setting his parents' teeth on edge suggests, it alludes to the greatness of his humiliation. Ad shehikha et shinav, up to the point of setting their teeth on edge. They're using this, I think this word hikha is sort of an interesting verb, right? Their teeth. V'darish od ben Levi, and finally it says ben Levi, the interpretation, right? Ben shene'esa levaya begehinom, a son, right? Ben Levi, son, where an accompaniment. There was, he had company with him in Gehinom, in the netherworld, right? V'yesh lomar, and one could say, hakavana sheyarad legehinom, that he went down to Gehinom, the levaya gedolah, with a lot of people accompanying him. By the way, the Hebrew word for funeral is levaya, and it means to accompany. Same word as Levi, because they accompanied the priests. And likewise, the idea is that when you're going to a funeral, you're accompanying the deceased in their final journey. So there were lots of people who went down with him to Gehinom. He pulled a lot of people with him, klomar, that is to say, bekibutz anashim rabim, specifically, right? It says, gathering many, many people. And I find this so contemporary, right, in what's going on in America. K'mevu'ar beparsha, as is explained in the parsha, shebal'ah haaretz, that the earth swallowed oto, him, ve'et kol adato, and his entire assembly. Right, I think it was 250 people. Uma shelo chashiv od seder hadarot, and the fact that it doesn't go back any further, right? It goes back to his father, it goes back to his grandfather, it goes back to his great-grandfather, but it doesn't go back to his great-great-grandfather, Yaakov, Jacob, Ad Yaakov. It doesn't go all the way back. It leaves out Jacob. V'lidrosh ben Yaakov, and we could have done a drasha. We could have done the same thing with ben Yaakov, ben she'ikev atzmo legehinom, the son who dragged himself into Gehinnom, right? Mefarash b'Gemara. So it's stated, the reason why that isn't in there is explained in the Gemara, Shira'ah Yaakov bin Nevu'ah, that Jacob, the great patriarch, saw in a prophecy, Machloket Zu, this mutiny. Uvikesh, and he requested, Meha Kadosh Baruch Hu, from the Holy One, blessed be He, Shelo Yachso Oto Elav B'Maaseh Zo, that he should not connect him, right? Be part of that genealogical list in this regard, right? And it becomes clear before us. But Parshat Vayechi, in the Parsha of Vayechi, that's the last Parsha of Genesis, the Pasuk where Jacob says to Shimon and Levi, Besodam al tavor nafshi, may my soul not enter their counsel. So